Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to the shop. I haven't been in here in a while, and I actually haven't put out a video of me working on the car in a while. That's because I've obviously been driving this thing and there haven't been many changes throughout the season. But it's the off season now, and if you guys watched my last video, it explains the updates and the kind of things that I have in place for the car over the winter. And one of the things at the top of the list is to redo the trans and refresh the engine. So that's the goal for today. We are going to be pulling this whole setup out of here, and I'm going to walk you guys through exactly how I'm going to do that with the limited space I have around me. So if you guys look, I don't have much room in front of the car. There's the toolbox and then the walls right there. Not much room, actually a decent amount of room on this side. And also keep in mind it's a 4-post lift, so removing the engine is going to be a bit tricky, being limited on room. I think what I'm going to do, I have the cherry picker there. I was kind of playing around with different ideas. I was thinking we could lift it up right here and then rotate the cherry picker and then drop the motor right there. But if you look at how that setup is, that means that the cherry picker would have to go really, really high in order to get the engine to clear the car itself, because it is off the ground quite a bit. So that means that if I start lifting, the engine's gonna want to come move this way because it's swinging it in, and then I'll have to worry about the clearance and hitting all that stuff over there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this arm as short as possible, and I'm going to lift the entire car up, get that cherry picker under here and to the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the whole core support. This is all really simple to take apart for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'll hook up the engine to the cherry picker when it's ready to come out, and then I will just push the car itself back. And as I'm pushing, I'll rotate the engine 90 degrees, you know, either way, and then that'll give me the freedom to just drop the engine right between the lift down here. Should be plenty of room. And then once it's out, you disconnect the cherry picker from the engine, move the cherry picker out of the way, lift the whole lift up, slide the engine out. I'll most likely have a dolly sitting under there. We'll slide the engine out, get the cherry picker out of the way, and then we can bring the car back down, and then that'll be the process. I think it should be pretty simple. I sat here for a little bit thinking about how I'm going to do this, but I think that's going to be the most efficient way and the easiest. So what I'm going to do is take the axles out first. That's going to be the first step, so I can just get that done and out of the way. Then I'll put the suspension and the knuckle and everything back together and put the wheels back on, so I'm still able to roll it even though the axles aren't in. And then I'll disconnect the exhaust system and the shift linkage from the bottom, and then I'll come up top and then I'll start taking apart everything I need to take off up here. Fuel return and feed lines, throttle cable, all the ground wiring, and I'm actually just going to remove the engine harness itself. It's kind of expensive and I don't want to damage any connectors in the process, so I'm just going to remove that and get it out of the way. And then at that point, draining the cooling system, getting the coolant hoses off, then it should pretty much be ready to come out after that. Fairly simple process, just gotta start doing the work. All right, we got the car lifted up. Went into the car. Gotta undo the exhaust here. I'll probably just remove the test pipe just so we have some room to kind of move around. Header will stay on. Gotta disconnect the shift linkage here, right there, the stabilizer bar. I mean, if you guys look, got some traces of oil leak right here, kind of all over the shifter bushings. The steering rack has been leaking as well from the fittings up there. And look at this, bushings all torn for the steering rack. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going solid bushings a little bit later on once I start tackling the rack and pinion there. And of course, you know, little caked with oil here and there, but yeah, making progress. So I always thought that I was hearing an exhaust leak on this thing, but I guess this proves it. That whole weld is cracked almost all the way around. Guess that's what you get for getting eBay parts, eh? All right, most of the work is done now. This motor is pretty close to being ready to pull out right now. If you look, most of almost everything is disconnected from the engine. The very last thing is to just unbolt the slave cylinder here, move it out of the way, and then it's just trans mount, engine mount, and the rear trans mount, and this thing is out. All right, the idea is to, of course, I have the cherry picker right here now. I've got it in front of the lift. I'm going to now lower the lift just so it's right above the legs here, and I'm going to rotate the cherry picker so that it's facing the engine. Hook it up, lift the engine out of there, just kind of so it's hovering there, and then I'm just going to pull back the teeniest bit that I can, and then rotate the engine about 90 degrees and then just lower it down. I'll probably have that dolly there sitting right there waiting for it to accept it. So that's the plan. All right, I think I got the setup pretty good here. Cherry picker's all set up. It's all chained up here. I've got on the front of the head here an attachment, on the rear of the head another attachment, and then I've got the transmission side on this bracket right here. A nice hook, making sure I don't damage any of these connectors. The hose kind of helps out here, but everything's solid here. Now it's just a matter of moving the transmission mount here and the engine mount on that side. I already went ahead and removed the bolts on the rear T bracket. So if you look, the actual motor itself is moving. Time to yeah, start loosening bolts. I have this little bit of tension on here just so it kind of supports the weight. But yeah, here we go. All right, the motor is out and loose, but it's a leaking trans fluid, which in hindsight I should have drained in the beginning, but we're gonna let it drain. And we're just gonna turn this 90 degrees and then drop it on a little dolly over there. Motor's out.
Oh, we're pulling, moving around the luggage. Yeah.
There we are. All right, I just finished cleaning up. Cleaning up is always the the hardest part, but no, I got the motor out in a few hours, which is nice. Didn't take too long, especially with having to film at the same time. So this is the current status of the car. Got the core support over there, the front bumper. I'm gonna kind of tuck that up here so I can close the hood. I've got the motor right over there. That's Brandon's spare K motor there. Yeah, now it's just waiting for the new motor that Charlie is gonna build for me. He's letting me keep that one as a spare. Maybe one day him and I can tear it apart and he can walk through that process with me on that motor. We'll see, but he's gonna put together a B18C bottom end for me from a JDM GSR or the SIRG, And then he's got also a spare B16 head. So he's just gonna do kind of a nice little factory rebuild on that, slap those things together. Obviously I'll have to buy a new intake manifold because those are different between the GSR and the B16, even though they're both B series. Once he's done with that motor, I'll go up there, pick up the motor, bring it back, and then mate that to the transmission, which I'm going to be doing a rebuild on as well. And then yeah, they'll be ready to go back in. But of course, not until the power steering rack is redone. Again, I'm gonna take this thing apart, depower it the correct way. Right now I have it looped to a Chase Bay's reservoir, so I'm gonna eliminate all of this, plug up all the hose, take out all these lines, open this thing up, and cut the piston out that's in here, all the shafts that are in here together. It's just gonna be a really good steering response once it's all done. And of course, like I showed you guys before, the bushings here are all torn up, so I'll get those replaced. Kind of have an idea of what I want to do there, we'll see. Just kind of stay tuned on that. And then again, subframe is going to need to be replaced. You can see here, it's kind of right here, it took a hit, so I'm thinking this is what is causing my caster to be a little bit off. And this is what the front horn looks like. This is what I was telling you guys about, that this thing got hit on the front right here. And this is a part that I wanted to kind of get straightened out, but that's kind of a big job and I'm not trying to spend that much money quite yet. So just a few little things I'm going to take care of in here, and then we should be good. Well, I'm happy about the progress today. Got a ton of work done today, got the motor and trans out. So now it's just essentially just waiting until Charlie's done building the motor and waiting until I acquire all the components I need to rebuild the trans. And that will most likely be the next video, but if I can't get those parts in time, the next video will most likely be on that power steering rack then. And that just about wraps it up today for the car, which is kind of nice because now I get to go home and relax a little bit since it's the weekend. But as always, if you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down in the comment section down below. And if you guys want to stay up to date with this thing right here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay smooth. I'll see you guys in the next video.